So here we are on the Brutalism Appreciation Society, and this is kind of an interesting thing. It is a Facebook group which basically admires the Brutalism architecture style. So it's got a lot of fans. It's got 259.5 thousand members in this Facebook page, and they're basically just appreciating the Brutalism architecture sort of style, and it is pretty surprising. I did not know that there were this many people that actually admired this kind of architecture. But just to quickly explain to you what Brutalism architecture is, it's basically a architectural style that emerged during the 1950s in the United Kingdom among the reconstruction projects in the post-war era. So brutalist buildings are characterized by minimalist constructions that showcase the bare building materials and structural elements over decorative design. The style commonly makes use of exposed, unpainted concrete or brick, angular geometric shapes, and a predominantly monochrome color palette. So this here is a prime example of brutalist architecture. So as you can see, they are sort of exposed. They're not really afraid to expose the foundations of the building. So it's mainly, it's basically just function over aesthetics. So they just don't care about painting the building. There's no sort of color in it. It's all just sort of concrete, and so it's all just about the building's function. So they've got all of the foundations exposed. It's all just concrete, and in some cases they do try to make it look somewhat aesthetically pleasing, like in this this example here, because they've sort of put a bit of effort into the architectural sort of design of the building here. But if we go, if we look at this building here, for example, you can see they just put no effort into it at all. It's basically, it's like the box a building comes in, so they just put no effort into how it looks. This kind of thing here would also be classified as brutalist architecture, guys, because as you can see, they've got the foundations displayed there proudly, and it's all concrete and there's no color. So this would be classified as a more modern adaptation of brutalist architecture, but it is still present in today's sort of architecture. But just to get back to the Facebook page, I'm honestly just surprised that this is actually a thing that has so many members, because usually when you think of brutalist architecture, like with exposed concrete and exposed sort of foundations and structural elements, most people don't like that kind of architecture. But there is a whole Facebook community of people just admiring this sort of architecture. Like, is this a real place here? I have no idea. Dreamland. That looks like CGI to me. But yeah, so, I will admit, this is a pretty cool looking sort of thing here. This is a subway station in Westminster, and I will admit, sometimes if brutalist architecture is done right, it can actually look pretty good, I will admit. This sort of does remind me of a subway station in LA. This subway station here, I actually got lost in this subway system in LA, which is a whole completely different story. I don't even want to go over that, but yeah, this is giving me the same sort of vibes. I'm not sure if you'd classify this as brutalism, because it does have sort of curves and paint sort of going on here, and it does sort of put a bit of effort into the aesthetics of the design of this train station here. But yeah, this is, I will admit, this does look pretty cool here. It's got a bit of a cyberpunk sort of vibe. This here is a very good example of brutalist architecture. But as you can see, it sort of does, it's basically an early adaptation of minimalist architecture. This building here would have actually been a very modern looking building when it was first built. Obviously not so much anymore, but back in the day, before the 1940s, sort of around that era, obviously when you look at all the buildings, they've all got those classical sort of features, sort of like this sort of thing here, where they put a lot of effort into the small sort of details around the building, and you know, they had all these little features all around it. When this sort of thing came out, definitely would have been a bit confusing for people, because it's just, there's, you know, no proper aesthetic considerations went on with this. It was all just like, you know, function over anything else. These sort of buildings here had one sort of goal, and that was to build these buildings in the cheapest sort of way possible. And the way they did that was with brutalist architecture, guys, just with no consideration towards the how the building looked. This is a more modern example of brutalist architecture, because as you can see, a bit more consideration has gone in towards how the building actually looks. It's got all these flowers all around it and all these sort of different structural elements going on here with these cantilevered sort of boxes floating in the air. So over time, a bit more consideration has gone into how buildings look in general. But as you can see, it still does carry some of these same traits as brutalist architecture, because the whole thing about brutalist architecture is that it's meant to be brutal. So it's all just concrete, it's got these exposed beams going down, and it's just a brutal looking building, and that's basically all you have to know about brutalist architecture. But honestly, when I think of brutalist architecture, the one thing that always comes to mind is called the Sheets Goldstein residence. So this is a residence in, I'm pretty sure, is it Hollywood? Okay, so it's in Beverly Hills here in Los Angeles. So there it is right there. And yeah, as I was saying, every time I think of brutalist architecture, the one house that comes to mind is this, the Sheets Goldstein residence. And just look at this, guys. How could you not like this? The way they've got the exposed sort of beams going along there to make these triangle sort of patterns here. It just looks so amazing, guys. This is like my dream house right here. It's just a big concrete triangle with glass on either side, and there's a pool there. I just love this house. How could you not love the look of this house? It just looks so minimal, but at the same time, so advanced. Like, there must have been so much civil engineering that had to go into this to build this kind of house. The inside just looks even better. It's so futuristic looking. I just love this house. Every time I think of brutalist architecture, I always just think of the Sheets Goldstein residence. But yeah, so that is basically the Brutalism Appreciation Society. I was not expecting for this Facebook page to exist at all. But it just goes to show, so many people just like different sort of architecture styles. Like, not everyone's going to like sort of modern architecture, not everyone's going to like old architecture. So there you go, guys. People actually do like brutalist architecture, and if I'm being honest, I don't actually mind it in some cases. Like, when it's done right, when it's done in a sort of modern way that does incorporate a bit of sort of architectural aesthetically pleasing sort of design, it can look alright, if I'm being honest. Can I just say, in some cases, and please don't attack me if you do like brutalist architecture, but in some cases it can just look downright awful. Like, this is the Scottish Parliament building. Just look at this. This just looks absolutely awful. Like, what were they thinking when they designed this building? It's like concrete just sprawling out all over the place, and there's just windows, like small tiny little windows, and these big concrete walls, and it just, I mean, look at that. It just, how could you even like that? It just looks awful. But then in other cases, it can look pretty decent. Like, I actually don't mind this sort of architecture style here at all. In fact, this actually does look pretty good. Like, it's sort of done in a way that makes it look simplistic, even though it's not simplistic at all. Like, a lot of engineering must have gone into building this building here. But in this case, with the Scottish Parliament building here, like, it just looks absolutely awful. Sort of like this kind of thing here. I mean, this just looks dope. Like, how could you not like this? So overall, there are two types of brutalist architecture. I like the type that actually does put a bit of effort into how the building looks. But I guess by definition, brutalist architecture showcases the bare building materials and structural elements over decorative design. So it's just an interesting thing that this Facebook page exists. I mean, look at this guy. He's He's enjoying the hell out of this architecture here. And that can basically conclude our video for today. I just thought this would be a fun little thing to explore because, yeah, as I said before, I was not expecting to see this at all. If you guys would like to see more sort of architecture explorations, because I am interested in architecture, let me know down in the comments down below, and I might do a few more of these just Facebook group explorations, or maybe even like Reddit communities. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts of this video are, and without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.